Alfred, what's the situation?
Quite the rat infestation, sir.
We had the chance to play Batman Arkham Shadow at Gamescom 2024 and I gotta say, I'm impressed so far. The game is set in Gotham City on the 4th of July, but instead of fireworks and celebrations, a new villain called the Rat King and his little followers are causing chaos. Batman has to stop them before their plan, known as the Day of Wrath, turns Gotham upside down. What makes Batman Arkham Shadow special is that it's part of the popular Arkham series, set pretty early in the timeline. But this time it's all in standalone VR. That means you actually feel like you're Batman right in the middle of the action. You get to fight using Batman's iconic moves and gadgets, explore Gotham City and come face to face with some of Batman's classic enemies, only this time it's like you're really there with new fighting tools and mechanics exclusive to VR. You also get to see characters like Dr. Quinzel before she became Harley Quinn and Scarecrow before he became the Master of Fear. Plus, you run into familiar faces like Harvey Dent, Jim Gordon, and more. Batman Arkham Shadow is set to launch in fall 2024 exclusively on the MetaQuest 3. It's developed by Camouflage, the same team behind Marvel's Iron Man VR, a game I absolutely loved. But this time, they're promising a AAA, highly immersive, story-driven campaign, so I have high hopes for it. In this video, I'm going to share my first impressions of the game. We'll look at how the gameplay feels, what I like and don't like, how the game looks, and just how immersive the VR experience really is. Full disclosure, big thanks to MetaQuest for inviting us to Gamescom and paying for the trip, but my opinions are my own as always, and now join me in Gotham. Now, my first moments in the game, and I played a section early on where I was about to enter the sewers to track down the Rat King. By the way, this isn't my gameplay, it was provided since we could not record at Gamescom, but this is the same level that I played. Now, the first thing that hit me was just how beautiful the game looks. I know this is not like a PS5 game, but it does look awesome for a standalone VR title. One little detail that really stood out was seeing my Batman's shadow on the ground, which might seem small, but it added a ton to the immersion, making me feel like I was actually wearing the Batsuit. At one point I got outside and that's when I encountered this beautiful scene. Now, it is tough to capture that on a flat video, but in VR it almost gave me goosebumps. And I'm not even a big Batman fan or anything. Like, I watched the movies, but I haven't played the Arkham games yet. But I got them on my Switch and I plan on playing this now before this VR game comes out. Research. This part of the game also served as the initial tutorial and I found everything to be really intuitive. There's a menu with a map, an upgrade system, and all the key info you need for your missions. While I explored, I quickly learned to use iconic Batman tools like the grappling hook and cape for gliding. The grappling hook was super easy to use, just point at the spot and press A and the movement felt smooth and responsive. Which reminded me of Iron Man VR with those fast, fluid motions that have a bit of an arcade feel, but in a good way. As I explored, I did wish there were more interactive objects to pick up or mess around with. I mean, that kind of interaction really adds to the VR immersion for me. I think it's something every VR game should have. So I'm hoping that as you explore more of Gotham, the world will feel a bit more alive. Because right now, these sewers felt a little static and I'm interested to see if the rest of the city has more going on. Now, there is a lot of sneaking around, especially in this early section where I had to crawl through many vents. I had the option to crouch in real life, which is my preferred way, but it is nice that if I got tired, I could use the artificial crouch with a button press. I have to admit I used it a few times, especially after some intense combat, which by the way is my favorite part, but I'll get to that later. Batman's gadgets were brought to life in VR in some really cool ways. While sneaking around, I had to use detective mode, which I activated by moving my hands toward my head and pressing a button. This is always one of my favorite ways to turn on an investigating mode like this. In Batman Arkham Shadow, my screen turned blue, letting me see through walls or giving me hints on how to proceed. I love the fact that I could also see the enemy's heart rate and how they felt. I really hope that they will make use of that kind of info in this game, but in my demo I did not encounter that yet. Now, two highlights here for me was definitely gliding with the cape, because to activate that I had to grab the corners of my cape with both hands and then make a gliding gesture, and it felt absolutely epic. When you're not gliding, you can still grab one corner of the cape and give it a dramatic swing, because who wouldn't want to show off like a bat with stealth? I really wished I could have used this move to attack enemies, which would have been awesome, but even without that, these mechanics are one of those moments that made me feel cool like Batman. And of course there's the Batarang. It's placed on my chest and I could grab it with a button and then throw it around to solve puzzles and other tasks. It's a simple but satisfying mechanic that reminded me just how resourceful Batman can be.
The police, on the other hand, have everything to fear.
But let's dive into my favorite part of the game, combat, which is brought to life in VR with a fluid, rhythm-based system that feels incredibly satisfying. You might recognize some of Batman's iconic gadgets, but let's focus on the hand-to-hand action first. Combat in this game is all about quick timing and combos. When you're throwing punches, you've got to follow the in-game cues, whether it's a circle in the middle for a straightforward punch, sometimes you have to follow a certain direction or punch rapidly. But what really blew me away was the way that the game alerts you to attacks from enemies outside your view. You can block these by making a quick blocking gesture, which honestly just felt cool. And then there are the finisher moves, which were well animated and also incredibly satisfying. Especially when everything flows together, the combat feels like a perfectly executed superhero takedown, where every move feels like I'm hitting it with precision and superhero power. It was just exhilarating. However, there is one thing that took me out of the experience a bit: the combat summary or scoring system that pops up after each battle. It gives the game a more arcadey feel, which for me broke the immersion. I would have preferred if the XP and upgrades were handled more quietly in the background, with the option to check my stats in the menu rather than having it all flash on my screen. Despite that, I have to say I really enjoyed the combat. I only tried it for about 30 minutes though, so I can't really tell whether this will get old at some point, but so far it did not feel that way. Plus, it's a pretty fun workout. Who knew saving Gotham could double as cardio? I also got a taste of how the smoke bomb works. You can grab it from your arm and then toss it wherever you need it, or drop it instantly with a button if you're detected and need to make a quick escape with like the grappling hook. Now, there are still a few things that could use a little work, like the enemies not being the brightest bunch. At one point I saw them toss grenades at themselves, which didn't hurt them. I mean, come on, if you're going to be your own worst enemy, at least let it count, right? As for the audio, I used the headset's built-in speakers, and I was at Gamescom, so it was noisy outside, so honestly the sound quality was even there quite solid. I thought the voice acting was good and I recognized some of the music, which is nice. And the spatial audio really made a difference, especially during combat. I could clearly tell where enemies were attacking from, which added a lot to the overall combat experience. I have to say, the game doesn't seem like it's going to be open world from what I've played so far. It's more linear, but that didn't take away from the experience at all. I think the atmosphere is spot on so far, and all the VR mechanics generally made it feel like I was the Dark Knight. The good thing was that even with all the fast movements, I didn't experience any motion sickness, and I was playing on the most advanced VR settings, so the game seems well optimized for comfort, which is always a big plus. The only thing I noticed was feeling a bit tired after combat, but that's probably because I was really getting into it, swinging my punches hard. This is awesome, but this could also be challenging for accessibility and might require a bit more space than usual to play comfortably. And so far I've only faced some thugs, no boss battles yet, and I haven't seen a lot of the puzzles. Plus, the game does not feel very challenging yet. This, however, has made me very curious to see how everything else will play out. I will definitely have more thoughts when the full game drops. That said, I really enjoyed what I've played so far. Keep in mind, I've only spent about 30 minutes with the game, so I'm not ready to give a full recommendation yet, but I am really looking forward to diving deeper into Gotham now and seeing how the story unfolds, especially with all the iconic characters in play. I think there's a lot of potential here and I'm excited to see where it goes. For now, what would you guys want to see more of in a Batman VR game? Drop it below and do let me know if you have any other questions about the game. I'll do my best to answer them, and if I don't know, I'll make sure to let you know when the game releases. Now, until next time, stay vigilant, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to never miss anything. It just supports us a lot.